Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It is a beautiful Thursday morning.
Yes, it is.
You know, did you catch the sunrise? I thought it was pretty nice.
Oh, yep. Look at you, up early, clearly.
Oh yeah, for sure. My puppy wakes me up every morning at 5, no matter what. So
that's a great alarm to have. Yeah. No, it is a beautiful morning, a dry one too, but we are expecting, I know, a tropical wave to pass through. I don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, but we're going to find that out in just a bit, of course.
Yes, absolutely. And there is a lot going on, of course, and I know that probably what is at the forefront of everybody's mind is, of course, let's say the rise of COVID-19 infections that are going on right now, as well as if you're following international news, the news of both the Lambda variant and the Delta Plus variant, which we're now seeing.
You know, I'm just trying to figure out, you know, people might think they're watching a repeat of the show every morning because it is the most prominent issue that we've been dealing with. You know, yesterday listening to Dr. Diaz talk about the severity of the spread and really encouraging people to kind of take action, even without regulations, you know, encouraging people not to travel, encouraging people to not go maskless, even within the workplace, not to have meals with other people who are outside of, you know, we're back to the idea of having your own protective bubble. Because we have just been seeing such a fast spread of this particular variant. And, you know, it's happening at a time, too, where in the U.S. we are seeing, and I know most people consume, in terms of international use, it's news from the United States, where they're trying to figure out how to get Delta under control as well. So there's a lot to see from efforts that they're making and things that perhaps are either down the road for us or in the more immediate future, it looks like.
Yes, and I mean, it's always the biggest struggle to find the balancing act, I suppose, from everybody's perspective, from the government who has to sort of try to regulate people's activity to the individual choices that you and, you know, your family has to make.
Yeah.
Everything, I mean, since the beginning, we've been used to changing situations and, you know, one day it's one thing, the next day is the other.
Yeah.
And, you know, with what's happening recently, it seems that, you know, the only consistent thing is to do what you said and to practice sort of the protocols, because for the most part those haven't changed.
Yeah.
And maybe in the beginning there was some confusion about, you know, but like now we're pretty settled on the issue of masks.
Yeah.
We know they work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hand washing, of course, and distancing. But you know, it's definitely crazy to watch the news or, you know, to read articles about new things every day. I mean, when I saw Delta Plus, I'm like, what is this? Is this like a phone upgrade? Like, you know, I was like, no, they have to be
It's not the type of upgrade that we want. I was watching a story this morning with a patient with COVID, just kind of, you know, in the hospital on oxygen, pleading with people, go out to get vaccinated. And, you know, it took me back to 2020, to the times that we saw people gasping for air. The biggest difference is that, you know, the vaccination is available for people to be able to protect themselves, especially from that level of severe COVID. But you know, I was thinking when the pandemic first started, and I remember doing research on, like, you know, 100 years ago when we had the 1918 pandemic. I thought to myself, you know, you looked at the data, they were talking about first waves and second waves and third waves and how people abandoned protocols too early. And I remember seeing because I looked up, how long it took for things to normalize. And I remember it being somewhere around 2 years, 3 years in some places. And I was like, 2 years? No way, 100 years later, we'll be better at this. And here we are, a year and a half and counting in, and we're talking about new variants, stronger, that spread faster, the potential for even more variants to pop up because we still have so many outbreaks taking place across the world. And for me, I think the lesson is that let's not discount history because it was a century ago. They lived it, they experienced it, and we can learn from that. If we can get around to the part where we realize that it's not over and COVID fatigue is real. We all feel it. I don't think there's a person who's saying, yay, we're still in a pandemic. But the only way we get out of it is by doing what's asked of us on an individual basis, getting the vaccination, ensuring that people who you're around are vaccinated as well. And in the meantime, keep on all the protocols that, yes, we're tired of, but, we're only going to be doing this for the time period of the pandemic. And then after that, we can get back to whatever that normal will be.
I know, and I think that, it's interesting because I was also reading about the 1918 pandemic, and one of the interesting things that I found was on the question of vaccination is that even after that happened, there were still, of course, some strains of that flu which survived to this day.
Yeah.
And even though there are vaccines available for those strains, because we have these booster shots and they get updated to deal with the variants every day. Some of the strains which have still survived from that pandemic 100 years ago still kill people today.
Yeah.
But because, of course, we didn't have the technology and it became a worldwide thing similar to COVID-19. What we've got the chance to do right now is sort of pause it if we are really serious and everybody gets vaccinated. Then we won't have to deal with the COVID-19 being an issue, and then because if we don't, then COVID will stay with us forever, and that even vaccinated persons might have to get boosters all the time, and they might have to keep doing it. So let's try and deal with it right now. And
we know that there's still people out there who are unsure. And I think that's the key thing to be able to recognize. There are people out there who are saying, should I, shouldn't I get the vaccine? Is it right for me? Is it safe for me? And I respect that people have questions about it because it's new. And I think that the key part is being able to access the information that will help you to be able to make that decision. We go to our doctor when something is wrong. We go to our doctor when we don't feel well or we're uncertain about something, and we ask them for medical advice. This is no different. This is no different.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is that if you're unsure, to check your sources and to learn how to ensure that you're getting information from the best source possible. And I think that it's almost like a no-brainer. You should listen to experts in the field in order to get the best information. And I think that based on what we've learned from people in the scientific, medical community, is that the vaccines are safe, the vaccines are effective, and of course there are side effects, just like any medicine does have a side effect. Any shot might have, and you might be one of the lucky ones who doesn't get any side effect as well. So.
You got some bad side effects, didn't you?
From the first dose, I was pretty sick. But the only thing is, even with the side effects, it only lasted one day.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling too good the day after.
It was like flu-ish, right?
Yeah, like flu symptoms. Wasn't feeling good the day after, and then weirdly enough, because I was expecting the side effects to sort of take a little while to taper off, but no. Went to sleep the night after. The next day, I felt completely normal, like nothing had happened. And then, of course, the second dose, virtually no effects. So,
I was lucky. I had no side effects with the first one, and the second one, I just kind of had that tired feeling. But other than that, it was the same thing. You went to bed the night, you woke up the next morning, you felt fine. But the point we should say here, of course, that a part of what has been happening with the Ministry of Health is that they're trying to get people easier access to the vaccinations, which means they're going out into communities. You can always check out the Ministry of Health Facebook page to find out where the vaccination centers are for you to get that vaccination. And we have been partnering with the Ministry of Health to be able to help people get the information that they need. And so, or Get the Facts series resumes on Monday, and it will continue for the next few months, getting information out to people so that they can be able to understand more about COVID-19, the variants, and what's happening. And you can ask your questions directly to the professionals that we have on our show. So you can look out for that on 7:30 on Monday night, and that's going to be a continuation of the Get the Facts series. Right? We got to get moving into our show. There's a lot to discuss today, even beyond COVID. Imagine that. But we're going to start off with some motivation to get you started for your day. And or eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. The longer you listen to and believe your true inner voice, the stronger it will become. Within each of us, there are numerous voices, often that compete for our attention. It can be difficult to decide which one to listen to, particularly when their messages are all quite different, sometimes conflicting, and even alluring. One voice, however, is the speaker of truth. Among all your inner voices, your true inner voice is the one which encourages you, gives you hope, and pushes you to trust and believe in yourself. Conflict within oneself is often caused by dueling voices inside of each one of us. As we move through life, we get mixed messages from the various aspects of ourselves. Some of our voices, such as the naysayer or saboteur, can speak so loudly that they drown out the voice of truth. Saying no to the voices that are judgmental and make you feel ashamed will help you stop being critical of your failures and afraid of success. By finding and strengthening your true inner voice, you will be able to ignore internal conflict and pick out the one that speaks the truth.
I really like that eye-opener as well, and I think that the end or the latter half of it is the key, and that's the part that I think is the hardest, is to pick out from among the voices which one is to listen to. Yeah. Because, you know, when you're doing something, or especially when you're starting something, you know, you always have those doubts or that sort of internal conflict between, you know, should I, or should I, maybe this is going to fail, maybe I'm not the best person to do this. But then you also have the other, and then as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, imagining like a little angel and a little devil on the sides. But I think that, yes, the true voice is the one that's kind and encouraging. And I think that when you are embarking on something new, or even if it's just how you approach your daily life and your daily tasks, I think that the one that's more hopeful and the one that's more encouraging is the one to listen to, of course. Yeah. And it's sometimes hard, but you know that is it's always important to be kind to yourself. Yeah. And you know, recognize that, you know, when you have an opportunity to do something, that's for a reason, and you should try to look at it from the most positive perspective as possible. Yeah.
This is us, you know, openly admitting that we do have voices in our heads. And in fact, they are conflicting voices. But it is, you know, I hear you. It is tough to do. It's overcoming that self-doubt that we all have. You start soliciting advice. You start asking around. And oftentimes, it leads you end up right at the at the place that you knew you were going to do and you needed to do in the first place. And that's because your inner voice was guiding you correctly from the start. And so it's just learning to kind of skip all the delaying process and having that sense of trust in yourself that you are doing what's best for you to move forward. So, yeah, develop those filters.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, but we're going to get moving. And as we said, it is time for our weather update for today. And our forecast for today is for generally fair weather prevailing. Then expect an increase in moisture. Oh, we got our forecaster on the line. Here we have Catherine Cumberbatch. Good morning.
Good morning, Marlene and Gavin. Good morning.
How are you today?
I am okay. I'm not going to complain. Just giving thanks.
All right.
And trying to stay safe.
As we all are. So, Catherine, let's just jump right into it. Tell us what we can expect in our weather.
Okay, for today, we could expect mostly sunny skies today, with high temperatures reaching 88 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast and 94 inland and 82 over the hills. Tonight, the skies will be partly cloudy, and low temperatures will drop to 81 along the coast, 75 inland, and 68 in the hills. As for shower activity, that will be generally isolated today. Then tonight and tomorrow morning, we could expect a few outbreaks of showers and isolated thunderstorms to develop mainly over southern areas and along the coast. The winds will be coming out of the east at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state will be light sharp. And the outlook for Friday and Friday night is for cloudy spells with a few outbreaks of showers and isolated thunderstorms developing mainly over the south and along the coast. In the tropical weather outlook, no tropical cyclone formation is expected over the next 48 hours.
Okay. And in that extended forecast where we see more rains coming, is it just going to be on Friday or into the weekend as well?
No, we expect that it should be decreasing on Saturday, Saturday and Sunday. We should be having less activity, and if the activity do occur, it will be concentrated mainly down south over southern districts.
All right. Well, Catherine, thank you for that update.
Okay, thank you too.
You have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
All right. There you have it. Soak up your sun today because there's some showers coming.
I know, and last week I got a taste of that rain all the way down south in PG, so I know it's no joke.
Ooh.
So,
and with PG, they come with the special effects of the thunder. Crazy
yep.
thunder down south. All right, but we got to get moving into our show, and today we are following up with another perspective on the marijuana debate. Yesterday we heard from the Council of Churches. They've weighed in on the proposed changes within the legislation when it comes to marijuana cultivation and sale. And today we're going to be joined by the Minister of Home Affairs. He's going to be expanding on the proposal so far, what their plans are, and we'll also be joined by a representative of the Rastafarian Church to talk about what they think about these changes.
And for our second conversation, we are going to be joined by 3 of the recipients of the scholarships from the Social Security Board. And we're going to be getting an update from them, what they did to achieve the scholarship, and what are their academic hopes. And that's going to be our second conversation.
All right, and these 2 young boys have been buzzing on the internet. We caught up with them at their car wash. They are, of course, 11-year-old entrepreneurs. Imagine that. They started a car wash to be able to make some extra income and spend their summertime. And we're going to be hearing from them just what it's been like, why they decided to do it, and definitely the community response that they've gotten so far. So that's our final conversation for today.
And so with that, we are going to be taking a very short break. And when we come back, we are going to start our first conversation with the Minister of Home Affairs. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back after a very short break.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime. While with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
Introducing Edam A cheese, the A+ Dutch cheese to hit the Belizean market. As the name says, it is of A-class quality, the best Dutch cheese in Belize. Edam A cheese is creamier, less salty, and simply more delicious. Don't be left out. Get your A cheese at a supermarket near you. A cheese, exclusively distributed by Unitex Company Limited. Call us at 610-3626 or 610-8910. Follow us on Facebook at Unitex Belize.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we're just getting our first conversation for this morning started. And as we said before the break, we are continuing our discussion on the decriminalization of marijuana and the various uses which it might have following that process. And yesterday we had the Council of Churches on our show, and they were voicing some of their concerns and, of course, some of their opposition to some of the proposed changes in legislation. And this morning we're going to hear the other side. So joining us this morning, we do have the Honorable Karim Musa, the Minister of Home Affairs, as well as Ras Ruben, who is a representative from the Rastafarian Church. Good morning.
Good morning, Gavin, and good morning, Marlene.
Right. And thanks for joining us. We appreciate your coming in and giving us the other side. So, in a general sense, in the context of what we're discussing, I think one of the things that came out from yesterday's discussion was the council wanting to have a voice and wanting to be sort of included in this process. And I wanted to know, Minister, what your thoughts were on whether and how the church should be involved and can be involved in this ongoing process.
Yes, Gavin. The church, in my opinion, has a very meaningful and impactful role to play as we move forward with this particular piece of legislation. As I always say, they are our moral compass, and they bring a sense of balance to any type of industry, any type of legislation, particularly one such as cannabis. As you know, in 2017, the churches were vocal against the decriminalization of 10 grams of cannabis, as they are today, as we take that second step in this particular direction. However, what we have to understand that in 2017, the legislation, while it was championed at that particular time by both sides of the aisle in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, we have to understand that it created sort of a practical and a legal absurdity in the sense that while it is that we can have 10 grams for recreational use, not just medicinal, it created a problem, a huge issue, because there's nowhere for us to purchase it, there's no way for us to access it, or there's no cultivation that is allowed. And so we saw that there is this void that was created by that legislation, and that is what this new legislation is trying to fix. It's trying to create an industry around cannabis. But at the same time, like the churches are saying, we have to move very cautiously, we have to move responsibly, and we have to move in a very structured manner. And that is essentially what we're doing. As Ras Ruben and I always discuss, it is not something that you're going to hit the nail on the head on the first draft. We have to realize that this is a new emerging industry, not just for Belize, but all across the world. Especially in the United States, where most of the states are now either recreational, medicinal, or CBD. A vast majority of them are. And so even in those states, they're always changing the legislation, because as you progress, you see different issues arise, and you have to then tailor your particular legislation to meet the needs of your particular state, or in our case, our country. And so, yes, in 2017 we decriminalized, but now we're taking that extra step. Like I said, it's not just from a standpoint of it's going to be wonderful for our economy, but also from a public safety standpoint. Because what's the first thing that you do when you purchase a bottle of rum? You would pick it up and you would look at the percent alcohol that is contained in there. If you see a percent alcohol, 90%, you probably won't want to drink that, and you'll put it back on the shelf. Currently, we are importing our marijuana from Mexico, and in some instances, a limited amount from the United States. But what is it that's in that cannabis that you are purchasing? Yes, you can have 10 grams, but do you even know what it is you're smoking? So from a very basic public safety standpoint, it's going to be important to ensure, one, there's no pesticides in what we're smoking. Two, there's no mold or mildew that will affect your lungs. Three, we have to know what is the THC content. I don't want to be smoking something that has 50% THC content and blow my mind. You want to be able to know that you can handle that particular type of cannabis whether it is indica or sativa or what have you. And so all of these things are what we need to factor in. We are moving in a responsible manner. It is not a case whereby you will have all over the country on the streets of Belize, it's going to be the wild, wild west, everybody smoking marijuana. No, the law will remain the same. You will only be allowed to smoke at a private residence with the permission of the owner of that premises or a consumption lounge. That's the only new addition here. And even then, we have to move very responsibly in where these consumption lounges are placed. And so that is the essence of what we're doing. We're essentially substituting the government in place of Mexico. So the government will now get that revenue. Instead of us purchasing from Mexico and the United States, that revenue will actually stay at home. So that in a nutshell is where we're going with this particular legislation.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not importation, it's smuggling.
Yes.
Yes. And it's an illegal activity that's
and it's very
taking place.
dangerous because we're dealing with cartels. The young men who are engaged in this trade are trafficking large amounts of cannabis. Like I said, we don't know the content of what is in this cannabis. They're trafficking it and running a risk with their lives, with the cartels, and with the police in importing this and engaging in this illegal trade, as you rightly said.
I want to step back for a bit because I feel that this conversation about the regulations that will be put in place for both the growth and the sale of marijuana, there are very little details available. And so what people are arguing about or concerned about, we don't even know how it's going to work. We don't know the mechanics of what kind of structure you will propose to implement. Where is that process, and why not wait till you have a first draft saying this will be the licensing process for growers, this will be the purchasing agreement people will have to do, and this will be the necessary steps for someone to have a lounge?
Yes. Well, as with all things, Marlene, first you have to have a framework. You have to have the legislative framework. And yes, the regulations are important. And that is why I'm saying that as we move forward to craft the regulations, yes, we have somewhat of an idea in our minds, but it's important to get an all-inclusive approach to include the churches, to include the Rastafarian community in crafting these very important regulations. Like you're rightly saying, how much will a license cost? How many licenses are you going to have? What is the composition of the commission? I can tell you that at this particular stage, the commission, the Industrial Hemp and Cannabis Control Commission, will be comprised of various representatives from different ministries, important ministries. So we have the Ministry of Health, very important on this commission, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Economic Development, the Ministry of Tourism, because as you know, they're going to be a very important role because we don't want to be identified as a cannabis destination, tourism-wise. We want to be identified as a cannabis accessible destination. So it's not going to be everywhere, like I said, that you will find cannabis in this country. One of my good friends just came back from New York and he said that every street corner that you went, people were smoking marijuana everywhere. And I understand that that is now the trend and that's the buzz right now in the United States, but that's not what we want to create here. We want to do so, like I said, in a very responsible manner. And so the representation on this commission is important. We will also have the cannabis consultant, Mr. Lavine, will have a seat on this commission, as well as a social equity license coordinator.
Yes.
My choice.
I'm glad. Let me jump in there. We spoke with Dr. Wayne McLaughlin from Jamaica, who heads up their research center there and in University of West Indies. And one of the things that he says they can look back at now, and his advice in moving forward for Belize, was we must find a way to include local growers, because while that's the intention from the start, the challenge is once you start putting in license fees and all these other standards that will be required for the quality that you're seeking, your local growers no longer have access to those licenses.
Yes, that's one of the lessons that we have learned from other countries and the pitfalls that they have encountered, like Jamaica. A lot of people think that I don't consult, but in truth and fairness, I consult a lot. You'd be surprised the number of people who walk through my door on a daily basis just to speak on this particular topic. In Jamaica, I have a gentleman, Bobo Dave, who I speak to on a regular basis, who gives us guidance, and he says, you know, this is one of the things that we missed in Jamaica. Exactly what you're putting in the legislation in Belize, that is where we missed, because in Jamaica, they followed the United States, and it's only for the rich. You only have these big corporations coming in and planting, and they leave out the small man, they leave out the regular man from being able to plant. And even so, they have erred on the side of standards. And that's definitely a very important thing for us to touch on, because I'm sure the good doctor raised that with you. Standards are important. If it is especially we're going to be catering to tourists, you have to ensure that you're giving them a safe product. So at the same time, you're not only protecting the consumer, but at the same time, we have to ensure that our small men and women are also engaged and included in this process. So that's the importance of having a social equity coordinator on our commission.
I don't want to get more details on that, but let's bring Ras Ruben into the conversation here and talk about the level of engagement that you're having in this process.
I sit here to represent Rastafari and the more underprivileged people in our society, the people that have probably been the basis of cannabis from the onset of us smoking weed in Belize. So I represent even the Indian community, you understand, because it's more than just ghetto youths that smoke weed. There's a cross section of people, right? So I'm here to try to create a balance, right? So my input is to try to urge the minister to always be mindful of us, you know, one, the people that smoke weed not recreationally, but spiritually as a sacrament, and the people that have been on the ground molding this thing long before, you know. So it's an illegal business right now as it stands, even though we have the right to possess 10 grams. Anything over 10 grams, any transaction is still illegal, but it's still happening. So a lot of people make a living off of this, you know, and we don't want to see the people that have made a sacrifice all their lives just get swept to the side. So I'm here to try to make sure that we have a space, so to speak, you know.
I mean, explain to us, especially because you are representing the Rastafarian Church, just how challenging it is to have access and to be able to use for your spiritual practices.
Well, it's still illegal, so it's still a challenge to just obtain herb from somebody and to be moving around with it to even to the church, you know. So all these are stuff that we need to work out the details so that like a person like me traveling from my home to our congregation don't feel the challenges that we do. You know, we face police, we face all kind of, you know, even from a perspective of humility, you know how it feels to be degraded for smoking cannabis? You know, you know how it feels especially in the past when the police would harass us in front of our children. It becomes strenuous on us as parents to control discipline after a situation like that. You know, so all this is a part of what we need to do as a society. We need to create a conversation with the public and even the churches have a more understanding of how we feel, especially we that use herbs as a sacrament, you know, and the difficulties we have been through, all this degradation and humiliation just for smoking cannabis, you know, and the medicinal aspect of it, as a holistic person, we get all the medicinal value of it, smoking herb as a person that is prescribed herb. So for the years of us smoking, we have always maintained that herb is the healing of the nation. It does a lot for you. You know, it helps you balance mentally, also physically. You know.
Rastafarian, if I could ask, how long would you say you've been smoking weed?
Maybe 30 years.
Okay.
30
Because
years.
one
I'm
of the
45 right now. Probably from my 16, I had to smoke marijuana.
One of the concerns from the churches is the psychological impact that access to weed for people would do. I know that you're a business owner,
Yes.
you're a chef.
Yes.
Would you say that your consumption has negatively affected your life in terms of your health or your mental state?
Of course not. This has enhanced my life. This has given me most of my inspiration. It has taught me how to discipline myself. I mean, with everything, there's abuse. There's abuse with everything, with alcohol, cigarette, with Coca-Cola. You drink too much Coke, you'll kill yourself.
Fried
So
chicken.
with everything, there is a balance, you understand? My mama always said, too much of one thing, good for nothing. So it's a balance with everything. And it's when you become enlightened about certain things, you learn how to use it better. And you learn how to use it properly. You know, so there's a time and place for everything. So one of the things there that I would like to see is the people become more educated, you know, even the youths, to learn that, all right, if you're too young and you're still developing, this is not a good thing for you. You know what I'm saying? So smoking herb, even smoking, now it has its setbacks, but that's not the only way to consume cannabis. So it's as time progresses, we have learned a lot, you know, so it's all about parting the knowledge and sharing with the people how to properly use cannabis. And a lot of people steam cannabis now. Yes. And what it does, it takes away the smoking effect because it doesn't put all of this toxicity in you, like as in smoking it directly. You know, so
Yeah, there's so many different ways to be able to use cannabis.
But you know, you brought up something very important earlier, and in a nutshell, you know, you were talking about the people that you represent, and you were talking about the, you know, one, degradation having to deal with police, and as well as the fact that, you know, given that it's been illegal to possess, consume, whatever so far, people have run afoul of the law, and there are people in jail, in prison right now, for drug-related convictions, you know, in relation to marijuana. And, you know, it seems strange or almost like a paradox to be discussing the economic benefits and a new industry. Meanwhile, people are in jail. So is that also something that we're looking at from the legislative perspective to deal with, Minister?
Yes, you hit a very important point there, Gavin, because let me just say this. I have been practicing law, as you know, for 17 years. I have done about maybe 50 to 100 cases for drug possession or drug trafficking representing defendants. All of them were young, all of them were black. I've never represented a light-skinned male for a drug possession charge, for a cannabis possession charge. And that speaks volumes because light-skinned males, young males smoke too. But those are not the ones who are charged, and so there is an inequity in the system. This particular legislation in the past attacked a particular segment of our population. In 2017, a lot of people don't know this, but in that legislation that the government proposed was the expunging of criminal records for possession of cannabis. And so if you are watching this, if you are a young man or a young woman, or if you're old, and you have a possession charge and you want to expunge that, you're allowed to do so. You just have to apply to the commissioner, and you are entitled, that is what the law says, you are entitled to have your record expunged. In 2016, the population at the prison was some 1,600 inmates. That has gone down significantly since 2017. We are a little over 1,000 inmates. So a lot of the young men and women who were charged and convicted and sentenced because of this plant have been released from our prisons, and rightly so, and rightly so. So we have to understand that yes, there is that already in our legislation for the expunging of records. A lot of people don't know it because the debate in the National Assembly was focused on the 10 grams, the decriminalizing. But also included in that legislation was the expunging of your criminal record. So you are entitled to that today.
Now let's come back to some of the details moving forward. The most challenging obstacle in the legalization of marijuana is looking at your banking system. There still is no remedy for this as yet. Yes. What is the plan to talk about how the country, the investors or those involved, how they will manage whatever revenues they make from cannabis sale?
Even in the United States, Marlene, this is a huge issue because even there it is a cash-only transaction because the banks, the federal banks, do not allow you to bank your money from the sale of cannabis. And so that is going to be a challenge moving forward like it is in the United States. But I believe that a solution to it is to find a community bank or a credit union, a small credit union or a community bank that does not have correspondent banking relationships with any of the US banks. And so we would have to create that bank, establish that bank where we can not only have the farmers bank their money from the sale, but also as a lending institution for small farmers as well. Because right now you can go to any of the banks, the established banks, and they will tell you we're not touching anything to do with industrial hemp and we're not touching anything to do with cannabis. So whether it is a sale, whether it's lending you money, that is not currently available, not here, not in the United States either. And so we have to be very creative moving forward, and I think that may be one of the solutions that we will have to find, the establishment of a community bank that does not have correspondent banking relations.
Are there models in other countries that we can use?
Yes, there are similar, like I said, credit unions and community banks that have been established because of this new industry. And so that is something that we will have to probably tailor and emulate here in Belize.
You know, the conversation about this particular topic, I get a sense of public support, but the concerns that are being expressed by those who are against it are still valid. Yes. You know, I think Ruben brought up a really critical point. When can people get access to marijuana or cannabis? How will you protect young and developing minds from not getting access? How far are we in planning out the safety regulations? Because let's look at it this way. Alcohol is supposed to be sold to people over 18. Not one of us in this room waited till we were 18 to buy or consume alcohol. Yes. Sorry, I don't know if you drink it, but so we know that enforcement is a challenge in this country.
Yes. Which is why you need a license. You need a license at the age of 18 years or older. Again, this is one of those requirements that's not included in other destinations that we have seen. And so that is going to be a huge component of our regulations, is that you have to be 18 years or older to actually qualify to smoke cannabis. The 2017 law that was passed did mention that if you are under 18 and caught with cannabis, that you would have to do community service. And so it kind of stopped short in saying that you cannot access it if you're under 18 years or older. I think it's very important that we include that in the legislation, that you must be 18 years or older to consume and to qualify. So that is in our law currently, that is in the draft legislation. And it doesn't just have a safety and a protectionist measure aspect to it. It also has an economic value because for tourists, it's going to cost $100 for every 2 years. The license lasts for 2 years. And if you could quantify that alone, without looking at taxation as a revenue, if you look at the ID card that you will have to purchase as a tourist, if you take a percentage, say we get back to our 1.8 million tourists annually, if you take a percentage of that and say 300,000, 30%, I'm giving you maybe 15, 20%, but really and truly it's 30% that will actually consume. If 30% consume and 300,000, we use that as a number, 300,000 tourists purchase this card at $100, we're talking, what is that, $30 million? Is my math correct? 30 million or? Yes, I believe
it's a
so.
Substantial amount.
Yes, it's a substantial amount, and that is annually. And so we have to look at it not just that it's going to be protecting our young men and young women from engaging in the consumption of cannabis, but also at the economic value of it.
How determined is the government to move forward with this? We've heard the Council of Churches put forward their position, but how determined, is it a definitive mandate that this is moving forward?
I believe so, Marlene. We had a committee after the first reading of the bill in the House of Representatives. There was a committee that examined the law. That committee is comprised of members of the opposition as well. And the report that I got from that committee is that it was actually embraced by the opposition as well. In particular, I believe it is Minister Tracy Tager-Panton and Minister Shine Barrow, the leader of the opposition. Both of them sit on that committee, and they made very interesting and substantial contributions to the bill. And so the AG's ministry will be meeting to see how we can incorporate the changes that they suggested as well. But it seems as though it's getting the support of both sides of the aisle, similar to the 2017 legislation. And so I'm fairly confident that it will move forward. But as both of you have rightly said, I think it has to have that all-inclusive approach, and it must include the churches. And I fully embrace that, and I fully welcome them to the table. And I look forward to meeting them. Hopefully by next week we could have a sit-down with them.
Have you heard their points of view? I'm sure you've seen the letter, but have you heard their points of view, and do you believe there's merit to anything they're saying?
I totally respect their point of view because it comes from a religious belief that they have and principled belief that they have, that it will lead to further moral decay of our society. That is their point of view, if I'm gathering that correctly. But my counter argument to that, and I don't even like to use the word argument, I don't want to be in an argument with the church, but it's simply to say we are already there in terms of recreational use being decriminalized. So this particular debate, I believe, should have happened in 2017, and to some extent it did. The debate over whether we should decriminalize it or not happened in 2017. But as we move forward, like I said, it is simply to impose and to implement a very practical and legal structure to something that already exists. So that is essentially what we're doing. So to answer your question, I feel fairly confident that the legislation will move forward, but I would only be comfortable if we get the input of the church, and so that we can continue to do so in a very balanced way and a very responsible way.
You mentioned the social equity coordinator. Let's get into the details of that. One of the suggestions, I know, as I said with our conversation with Professor McLaughlin, was talking about the idea of a cooperative. In other words, if the license fee is cost prohibitive, people can come together, much like we do with the fishing industry, and be able to access it that way. What's being explored?
The cooperative concept is certainly going to be one aspect of it. I know that in the south, we will probably have, in the Toledo district, a lot of small farmers who would want to form a cooperative. And I can already envision a tourist destination, a tourist farm that you can go to, and you can engage with the locals. It is said that the Mayan community has a long history, as Ras Ruben pointed out. It's not just Rastafarians, a long history of planting marijuana, and of course it has always been destroyed. And so it's incorporating all of the small farmers, finding them and having them be a part of a cooperative, like you say. But of course, bearing in mind that they would have to hit certain standards as well. So the social equity license will not have a prohibitive cost. And it will only be for locals that will enjoy this particular license at a smaller rate than the expensive license for the big businesses. Moving forward, it is important that we have a formula that works, not just for the government to ensure we get good revenue from it, but that we include the business community, and of course the small farmers cannot be forgotten. Hence the reason they are integral, they are an essential part of the social equity license moving forward.
And Ras Ruben, have you been talking to others who perhaps are in the community who may be growers or you know, people who may be interested in perhaps getting into the industry, into the formal industry?
Well, of course, people have been having this conversation from the onset of this initiative. Everybody want to know how they could be a part of it, how they could get a license. A lot of people skeptical that they're even going to get a license, and this is why I think that this Cannabis Unity Project will play a big role in how we as the smaller people become engaging in this process and get one equal share, you know, because it will be very difficult for us to open like a big dispensary or a big grow shop or a farm. So the idea behind this is to be able to have smaller farms that will have one less economic cost to operate and to become viable. So I have tried to, whoever conversate with me, I've tried to explain to them that this is a working process right now. We're molding it right now. So I'm trying to be as mindful as possible on both sides so that the government could get a revenue and so that we could be a part of it, because it's going to be more than one aspect, not just growing herb, but distributing herb. There's going to be like a license for those to police this thing, to secure it, because even security is a big issue when it comes to cannabis. You know, for transport it from point A to point B, all these will be lucrative new businesses where people that are already involved, because there's not a lot of farmers in Belize, but there's a lot of distributors, middlemen, a lot of middlemen that are Belize. So these are the people that would try create a way now that they could be a part of it and have their fair share, you know. So
you mentioned the Cannabis Unity Project. What is that?
Yes, it's a project that the minister has put
in
the draft, so that we have a say, that we have a this is our door to enter in, you know, because this is not going to be for the average person, where especially international people that want to come from abroad to invest. This is not going to be catered to them, but this is going to be more catered to the local people that don't have enough finances to do all of the stuff that somebody from abroad may be able to do.
Has there been an assessment as to how many local growers we have?
I think Ras Ruben would be in a better position to answer that. I know that we have far more dealers and dispensaries. But growers, I think Ras Ruben would be
without trying to get nobody.
I know.
Probably
but just throw out an estimate a number of people.
Maybe less than 150 people.
Okay. That are involved. And this is a tricky thing, because Minister, this is still illegal.
Yes.
So how do you maneuver that at this time? We still have reports of drug farms being, marijuana farms being burned down. We still have arrests taking place.
And that falls under my ministry, believe it or not.
And in the meantime,
so while I'm promoting this, on one hand, the police is enforcing on the other. We have to understand that this is a transitionary period. And it pains me because I know we're moving in that direction, that we are going to be regulating the industry shortly, and we want to include the very farmers whose farms are being burned down. But we have to understand that this is that transitionary period. It is still on the law books that it is illegal. And we have to look at it also practically, because we don't know what type of pesticides they're using, you know, what farming techniques and procedures they're using. And so they still don't have a license to be doing what they're doing. And so for right now it is illegal, but I can see in the near future, hopefully by next year, we can be incorporating these farms that are being illegally destroyed. But from now until we get to that point of legislation, you can expect that the police will be doing their job and enforcing accordingly.
But how do you do that if you're still collaborating?
Because we have a goal set in our mind of legalizing, of regulating the industry. But we have to also be mindful that it is still illegal. We cannot escape the fact that this is something, a propaganda of over 100 years against this plant has been in existence in our country for all this while. And so, as minister, I can't tell police officers, guess what, you see that law, no enforce the law. I can't do that. Because it's on our law books.
Forgive me, but I think the word you used before was what? Legal absurdity? Is this not the same situation we're in right now? You're collaborating with growers and pursuing growers?
Absolutely. Hence the reason I started by saying that we have it decriminalized, but at the same time we are still enforcing this law that is in place in terms of the industry surrounding cannabis. There's still that legislation, which is why I said it's just a manifest absurdity, a practical and legal absurdity that we need to fix.
Why, have you explored things like a moratorium on destroying farms, or?
We have not gotten there, primarily because we don't know where the legislation will go. While I am confident, I'm not 100% sure that that is where we're going to go. And so at the point of the legislation being passed by the House of Representatives and the Senate, let us not forget we do have a Senate that it has to pass. If it gets past those, then of course we can look at the moratorium aspect of it.
Do we have an idea of sort of the size, or you know, maybe in figures, or of sort of what the illegal economy is for cannabis right now? And you know,
I think we had been discussing that the other day, and Ras Ruben was giving me some scary numbers. Ras Ruben, if you want to share what your thoughts are on that.
Maybe about $200 million a year.
And that takes into account what growers selling?
No, not growers. It's just the importation and sale.
Okay.
The Mexican weed is bringing in $200 million for Mexico.
For Mexico.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd say it's a higher cost than that if we consider the lives lost in the drug war, and if we consider the number of persons incarcerated at this time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, let's look at this practically. There are people who are going to be resistant to this change. We have been schooled and taught that this is a drug and drugs are bad. It's a very simple equation. And now the government is saying these things that we were taught that were not good for us are suddenly legal. What is the plan to get everyone, one, to understand the risks involved, there are always risks, and two, get them to buy into this process? Some are seeing the pure economic value, but there are other elements.
You know, moving forward, Marlene, that is a huge aspect that we will have to address as a government, because the message is not that we are encouraging young people to smoke. The message is simple. We have 30% of our population that smokes. We need to curb the importation, the illegal importation, the drug warfare, as you rightly said. We need to curb that. But there are negatives to it. And so the educational component moving forward for the government, we will have to have an aggressive campaign that advises the public in a very all-inclusive and comprehensive way. So you include the bad, you include the good, the educational aspect of it. Believe it or not, a lot of Belizeans think that hemp and marijuana are the same thing. Yes, it comes from the same plant, but the hemp only has 0.3% and below in THC, whereas the marijuana is above 0.3%. And so there is a huge lack of information out there, especially the positive, the medicinal positives that can come from this particular plant that we are not even discussing. We're just on the surface of it. There's a lot of information out there. I myself, I have had to educate myself, because like you, growing up in Belize, you were always taught you always thought that in fact cannabis and weed is bad, totally bad, it's a drug, and we should never ever use it. So it's definitely something that as we move forward into the future.
Well, look at the vaccination rollout. We never thought vaccines were bad, but look what we're facing now.
Yes, exactly.
So new things can come with challenges.
Yes, and so that's going to be very important that we have a comprehensive educational campaign going to inform the public about cannabis.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the expected challenges that you see moving forward?
I think that the biggest challenge, of course, would be coming from the churches, which is why it is important to hear their point of view and their perspective. Implementation-wise, we do have a cannabis monitoring unit. I can see where that might be some issues, but we have to have proper training. Mm-hmm. And so as Ras Ruben was touching on, there are so many offshoots, so many different jobs that will be created from this one singular industry, including government jobs, because we will have to have a monitoring unit that has the equipment and the know-how to go into the fields and to test the various plants to ensure that they're not going, that they are, for instance, the hemp, that it's below the 0.3%. Yes. And then for the cannabis plants, for the marijuana plants, that those in fact do not have pesticides or do not have mildew, and to test the content of THC, like I said in the beginning, that's going to be very important for the consumer to know what it is they're smoking and to know that it is safe. And so those are the types of challenges that we will face. But again, these are challenges faced by all countries as they move in this direction.
And what about engagement of the medical community? Because as you rightly noted, there are established links between medicinal use of marijuana for things like pain management, anxiety, and several other things.
Yes, that's going to be important as well, because a number of the licenses that will be issued are for medicinal purposes, and those individuals, those doctors and pharmacists will have to be trained and qualified in terms of dosing. The dosage that you get based on a particular ailment that you are suffering from, you will have to be given the sufficient and adequate dosing. So you cannot be prescribing, like I said, some ridiculous amount of THC to a patient when in fact all he might need is a 5% THC. So that's going to be very important in terms of the medicinal aspect of it.
Now, you know, when the consultant, Mr. Levine, was making his presentations and talking about the poor quality of marijuana in the country and what people were consuming, it upset a lot of people to say that we had a bad product.
Yes, but it's not our product, which is what we've been saying. It's not our product, that's Mexican product. And so if we continue as is with the decriminalization of 10 grams and having consumers smoke something that they don't know what is in it, then we will always encounter that criticism from foreigners, because you have to know what it is you're smoking. Like any other medicine, you want to know what it is you're taking. If it's Tylenol or Advil, you want to know you're taking ibuprofen for Advil, not something else. So that is why it's very important for us to have this structure and this responsible approach from a public safety perspective as well.
And is that also something that is ongoing process in terms of looking at the capacity for the industry? Because, you know, that brings up the topic of whether or not it really is viable for us to explore growing as a, you know,
the lab technicians.
Because I mean, it might, that study would require, you know, growing and planting, which is still illegal at the time. So how are we balancing that?
I think it's well established that Belize is a fertile ground for planting. Various parts of the country, and Ras Ruben could tell you where in particular part of the country is good to grow. But that is something that we have to look at, but I think it's pretty established. We have a Belize Breeze strain that is in Amsterdam right now in the Hall of Fame, believe it or not, but we're not planting Belize Breeze anymore because of the prohibition against it. And so I think it's fairly established that we have good temperature, good climate, good soil to plant in Belize. But maybe Ras Ruben, if you want to comment on that.
Well, I believe that the research and development will take place as time proceed, right? So we still, as a nation, we have so much to grow. So while we begin to explore these different outlets, people will become much more educated. So today's farmer and tomorrow's farmer will be two different things. So right now we don't have a lot of education when it comes to the know-how in growing herb. But moving forward, I believe that even the individual, because it's in the law, there's in the law stipulation that says that even the individual will be able to grow 2 plants for themselves, because this is supposed to be one healing herb that even you in particular are supposed to be able to connect to this plant. So while we might look upon this, the research and the development only from one lab point of view, one lot of information will come from the common person also, while they grow and then they investigate and then they learn. There's going to be a lot of development that we as a people, as a nation, gain from this, you know, because when you experience growing a plant from seed or from whatever to maturity, you will learn a lot. And this in turn will bring a lot of information to light. Because, all right, while you use cannabis, you will find that some people have anxiety, it help with that. Some people have insomnia, it help with that. And so with every stage of development, we have a lot of information where we are together, and this will be beneficial to everybody. So as an industry, when we start, there's so much things that we will learn, and we are going to be able to put to greater use, even for the world, because Belize itself, we are one of the prime marijuana growers in the 70s and 80s for the world, not for Belize, for the world. And this herb has been healing people from then until now. People have been using the herb for the same thing. You know, the 70s people had insomnia, people had anxiety, and even though it's illegal, and the way how they still may get the benefits of the herb. So I believe that Belize have a lot of potential, and we have a lot of information to share with the world as we proceed.
Well, I think that's a great point to wrap up that portion of the conversation. Minister, I can't have you leave without getting a question in about the recent police-involved shootings that have taken place with 2 different scenarios. But I want to hear from you, just one, your reaction to it happening in such a short time, and what's the plan in being able to address it?
Yes, in the first instance, in relation to young laddie Gillett, I think it's fairly well established that the officer who fired his weapon that night carried out a grave injustice. It was a severe error in judgment on his part, and it has been rightly criticized by the entire country of Belize, including myself, the Commissioner of Police, the Prime Minister, the Special Envoy. In relation to a couple days ago, we had the shooting of a young man, 16 years old, and that certainly pains my heart as the Minister of Home Affairs. You never want to see a young life taken. Even in those circumstances, it is alleged that he went and he shot another young man. It speaks volumes to where our country is at and where the minds of our young people are at, because that's a big, bright Sunday morning that you got up and you said, I'm going to go kill somebody. I think it was around 8 or 9 a.m. And so it certainly brings it into sharp focus where we are as a country. And I always say that fighting crime is not just a police issue. Yes, the police are there to keep us safe, but we have to look at all our ministries, all our departments to ensure that they are getting involved as well. I am currently a part of a leadership intervention unit along with Dr. Rosado, William Dawson, a number of other individuals, Abdul Nunes, and a number of other pastors sit on this unit as well. And so these types of programs that then reach out to the relevant departments, human development, social services, youth and sports, the Ministry of Tourism and Natural Resources, we're trying to make it an all-encompassing approach to tackle the root of where the crime is coming from and what is happening in our homes, particularly in Belize City, to ensure that we can intervene in a positive way, not just in a reactionary way, but in a more positive way to uplift the lives of these young men who are facing demons on a daily basis, like I said, for you to get up and actually commit that type of crime. So in terms of the police shooting of the young man, from what I gather, the police were defending themselves. They were shot upon as well. And so it certainly pains my heart.
Two very different circumstances.
Yes.
The only similar element is
that
the police were the ones who fired the fatal shots.
Yes.
But it does talk about response and adequate training on how to respond in situations like that. There are ways to be able to respond without killing someone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And moving forward, the buzzword right now is police reform. I've been on my national tour now, going on 3 weeks. Today is actually my final day. We'll be doing a rural Belize, and even before the unfortunate shooting of Laddie Gillett, that has been my message to them, that we need to restore public trust and confidence. We need to reduce, if not eliminate completely, any type of police abuse, excessive use of force. That has been my message to them. And coincidentally, the night that happened, the following day, I was scheduled to be in Placencia, and so the overall morale of the police department was very low that day, for a number of reasons, but because we had lost that young life unnecessarily so.
Minister, let me just ask a question there, because one of the things I've wanted to hear from you is just how you personally responded to this situation is markedly different from what we saw after the shooting of Allison Major. I know you have children close to the age of Laddie Gillett. You were in Placencia at that time. You heard the cries not just of the family, but of the wider community for a young life lost so early. What's different? The opposition, Karim Musa, who responded to Allison Major, was angry, upset, frustrated, and specifically speaking about going after the police for that type of shooting. But we didn't get that after the Laddie Gillett shooting.
It's all a matter of perspective, Marlene, because just yesterday at Holy Redeemer Parish Hall, on my tour of Belize City, a police officer, a female police officer, got up and basically chastised me as minister and said, you know what, minister, I feel that you were bashing us too hard when it comes to the killing of young Laddie. My response to her is that I cannot change who I am. I am not going to be a hypocrite. I am not going to be a fraud. I will call a spade a spade. And I felt that I did that in this instance. And like I said, it's a matter of perspective, because you might not have seen me come out as vocal as I did then. But the sentiments are still there. It was excessive force use, unjustified killing of a young man. And we need to do something about it drastically. I know I am doing my part as a minister. I know my CEO is doing his part. We need to get better training, because the use of force policy is a good one, but the enforcement of it, the training of it, to ensure that our officers are being trained. 3 months ago was the first time when I took out SPU, 80 SPU officers on the firing range. I don't like guns, you know. I hate guns. But I took them out personally to the firing range because they said it's been 15 years since they have been taken on the firing range to how to use their weapons. Believe it or not. And the cry is always, oh, we don't have enough ammunition to go out on the range, and that does not matter. You have the possession of a firearm, you must be responsible in how you use it. You must be properly trained on how to use it. And so, yes, it was only 80 officers in that instance, but it's something that we started 3 months ago, that we need to get more of our officers who are equipped with a firearm properly trained. So there are a number of initiatives, but that is just one of them. I believe the educational aspect, yes, technical training is important, but elevating the education level of our police officers is also another key component in police reform.
When will we get an update on the Laddie Gillett investigation, and is it being conducted by the police department?
It is being conducted by the police department. As you know, the officer has been charged, Kareem Martinez has been charged. I understand that they should be wrapping up the investigation as it relates to Thomas, the young man who was with Laddie Gillett on that unfateful night, so to speak. And so that particular investigation is being wrapped up, and so we will see where it goes from there. But yes, it is being handled by the police department, and we have put our best investigators on that job. As we do with all instances, high-profile instances. Obviously, we can't get our best investigators on every single case across the country, but particularly those that are high-profile and the people want to ensure that justice is done, we put our very best investigators in charge of it.
Will the report be made public?
Yes, of course. But in terms of the disclosure of the contents of the statements, that's not something that is normally done. But once it is disclosed to the defendant, it becomes public knowledge at that point. So it most certainly can be disclosed.
What did you say to the family of Laddie Gillett?
You know, I speak with Miss Brioni often. Even last night I spoke with her. It's tough because yesterday marked 3 weeks since we lost Laddie. They've been very embracing of me, and I appreciate that fully. But I have to ensure as minister that we do get justice for Laddie. That is my commitment to them. It might not be the justice that they would want to see, but like I said, the charges that are laid is not something that is up to me as minister. It's not up to the Commissioner of Police. It's up to the Director of Public Prosecution once all the statements have been gathered. And so I am doing my part, and I just want to thank them publicly for embracing me and for having just open discussions, very candid discussions, even if at times it hurts them, because I know how much it hurts them, and I can relate to that because I have a 14-year-old as well. So it's very painful, so we have to deal with that.
All right. Well, we appreciate you responding to that. And Ras Ruben, thank you so much for coming in as well.
Thank you.
And of course, the conversation will continue. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us on today.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jim. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Persons living with HIV can take the COVID vaccine. In fact, we advise them to take it, especially if you're someone who is taking your antiretroviral medication every day, as you should be. Then it means that your immune system is operating at a good level and you can take the vaccine. Now, even for persons who are not on treatment, as long as they're not seriously ill with HIV, then it is still advisable for them to take the vaccine, but make sure you take both doses of the vaccine so that you can get good protection from the vaccine against the disease.
We're back and we're moving into our second conversation for today. We are joined by three young, bright minds as they talk to us about being the recent recipients of scholarships from the Social Security of Belize. We have with us joining us via Zoom, we have Abdias Mai, we have Dennis Gladden, and we have Javeli Hernandez. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yep.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right. So, Abdia, since we have you in the middle here, tell us about you are going to be starting your bachelor's program, courtesy of the Social Security Board. Tell us a bit about what you felt when you found out you were the recipient of this year's scholarship.
I felt very excited. Good morning. I felt very excited, and also I felt emotion to be able to continue my studies by Social Security providing me that assistance.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you, I mean, clearly you wanted to further your education. Was this the only way you would have been able to move forward?
I think that this is the only way to achieve or my set goal, to become a financial controller. And I'm very thankful for them to providing me this scholarship opportunity.
And Dennis, what about you? How did you feel when you found out that you had gotten it?
Well, firstly, I would love to thank SSB for granting me this scholarship. You know, my story is very filled up with a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And I feel thankful because knowing that they are giving me the opportunity to further my education is very nice, and it will help me. You know, I feel very emotional because I know what I came from, the very little that I have, and I just will use this opportunity to motivate me to be more productive and appreciate what you get.
Yeah. And Julie?
I feel happy and excited because I could do my studies with no financial problems.
Yeah. You're starting high school, right? Yeah. And did you go through the application process by yourself? You had your family help you out?
My mom.
Your mom? Yeah. What was the reaction when you found out you got the scholarship?
Excited.
Yeah. What do you want to be when you get older?
I'm not sure yet.
That's
Just
fine.
starting first
I
form.
was just
You,
gonna
you,
say.
you have a lot of time to to decide. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And let's come back to Abdias for a moment here. Abdias, you know, you have your career path set already. Seeking tertiary level education can be very expensive. Were you optimistic that you were going to receive the scholarship?
Well, I believe in God, and I think that that's the purpose why I applied for the scholarship. There was something that was telling me, you know, to apply for this scholarship because I'm a person that I was praying for this kind of opportunity, and it finally I got the opportunity to study my career that I set in mind.
And Dennis, of course, you have been well known. A lot of people have been looking at your story, and they are very much inspired by your journey. Let's talk a bit about what you've been through and what got you here today.
Well, by the grace of God, you know, with my grandmother in everything that I do, you know, she helps to motivate me. She doesn't work, so I do my best at school, and I was raised by them because my parents died. That's a lot for her and me, but I haven't seen my mother nor my father, like, you know, and the first time I saw them was on the Channel 7 story that they created for me, and they managed to cut out a clip, some video, and put it into my story, and that just shows a lot that I didn't have, you know, when I was growing, and it's very hard because I wasn't raised by any parents. My friends had their parents, but I had my grandparents. I did not, you know, try to like say, oh, because I don't have my mother, my father, I can't do this or I can't do that. I'm still around, and I thank God for the strength He has given me to just be the person I am today. You know, just be inspirational and inspire young people that they can do it and with no complaints, and that you have people, for example, like my grandparents, who look after me, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Dennis, how is it at such a young age that you are able to keep yourself motivated, all of you? Because winning a scholarship comes with several criteria. One of them is that normally you're a very good student and you show promise. How do you keep the motivation going even when things get challenging?
Well, you keep it going because you have to motivate yourself. you know, you can't worry about others because you will have people who will try to bring you down. Just like in my community, the area is too infested with gang affiliation, and you have a lot of people who will influence you to do the bad stuff. And I tend to not try to follow in that direction because I know my situation my grandparents can't handle. And I do the best I can do. And like I said, they motivated me because I want better for them.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do to like help them. And that's it.
And were there times that you actually like had to say no, and where people maybe were tempting you to do the wrong thing?
Well, I am a person who knows when to react to situation. For example, if someone passes me by and wants me to do such a negative thing, sometimes I would ignore them, not look at them, you know, keep my head straight up and continue walk. And that's what I do. In fact, I stay inside, so I don't really have people hailing me to come outside to do those bad stuff, right? I stay inside and I do my work.
Yeah. And for you, Javeli, how do you, I mean, doing well in school can be hard sometimes, and it takes a lot of hard work. You have to make sure you get everything done, do all the studying. What motivates you to do it?
My mom, my brother, my sister. When I get big, I want to help them. That motivates me.
So mom helps a lot?
Yeah.
Yes, and are you the oldest of your siblings?
Yes.
So you're trying to be a good example for your siblings too.
Yes.
Do you help them with their work sometimes?
My brother no go to preschool.
And your sister?
She's small.
Oh, she's small. Okay. Now they have days you don't want to do your homework, right? And what makes you get up and do it?
My mom.
What about you, Abdias? In sort of your like academic journey, you know, through high school and all of that, you know, what kept you motivated to work hard through all those years?
It has been so hard, the journey of my study, because I used to work when I was a child in the cane field, and till today I'm still working in the cane field, and I schedule my time to be able to study in the evenings and work in the mornings, and it is very difficult. So my parents always kept me pushing. I push myself always to maintain good grades. Even at nights, I have to study, be prepared for test, exam, and so forth. And it is one thing that I always keep pushing myself to do great. Also, my parents play a great role in providing me the necessary food, and also they provide me the time to speak to me about certain things in life. And it is a thing that I always push myself to do great.
Yeah. Abdias, you know what? I can only imagine you work very hard as a cane farmer, and it is an industry that is very important to us. When you are out there doing the work, how much is that a part of kind of your motivation to want to move further with your education?
It is a work that is very hard, especially in summer when the sun is very hot. There is no shade, so seeing my father working so hard and trying to maintain my family, and is always pushing for the benefits of us, and that motivates me and makes me to achieve my goal, which is to become a financial controller.
All right. So what are you studying?
I'm studying accounting.
Accounting. Okay. And you'll be starting your semester very soon, right?
Yes, miss.
And you said you're going to continue to balance working and going to school?
Yes. Even though I got the opportunity of the scholarship, I have that in mind that I need to help also my family financially, bringing money to the table for food. I'm always that type of son that helps his family members, and especially my father that he doesn't work. I still plan to continue to work in the cane field for the meantime.
How big is your family?
My family consists of 5 members,
Okay.
Excluding my father and my mother.
Okay. All right. Now, what do you say to other young people who are watching right now? Sometimes, you know, they're aware of their family situation. They know they can't afford to move further with their education. What do you say to them to stay on the right path, do well in school, and then they may be scholarship recipients like you guys? Let's start with you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that as my father always sees that we should keep pushing, even though we lack the finance. We should keep pushing. And if we don't get the opportunity, a scholarship opportunity to be able to study, to keep pushing for applying other scholarship, and there would be a point where they would get that opportunity, that assistance to be able to study.
And for you, as you start your first year at SCA?
It's hard.
That'll be hard work, right? Yeah. But that you could do it?
Yes.
Okay. And for you, Dennis?
Well, I just will tell the young people out there just to view my story on Channel 7 page and see what I came from, and use that as motivation. And like he mentioned, that don't worry about the finance, because in my situation I did not have the finance. My grandparents aren't working, so I use that as motivation to help me, because I know they are not working but they can find assistance for me. And for example, like right now I have the assistance to finish or begin my associates at UB, and I'm thankful for the grant that SSB has given me. They just wanted to give me this opportunity because they can relate, or they have seen my story and felt such a way that, you know, this young man went through a lot and didn't complain, and, you know, did his work and feel good about it.
Became valedictorian, I think.
Salutatorian.
Salutatorian, yes.
Salutatorian.
But the point is that you not only had challenging circumstances, but that you were able to still excel in school. And I think sometimes people, all of you, sometimes people think, oh, you're just smart. Like, you know, it just come easy to you. But how much of it is hard work?
It's hard work because, like I said, some of the resources I didn't have. I had a phone that I used, you know, from second farm that I bought when I worked during the summer. And that helped me to do my online classes. And, you know, I didn't complain. I did my work. I was always those guys who handed paperwork rather than doing online and then handing the online work. I'm that type of person. But I have to stay locked in and be motivated and just continue, because I know places like SSB, who have given me the scholarship, will look after me in regards to that scholarship they give it.
And do you have also any like goals for your career and stuff that you still want to end up achieving?
Well, my biggest goal, or my goal of as of right now, I want to start my associates and, you know, finish it. Then I can move on maybe into my bachelor's, or but my biggest goal is to be an environmentalist, because I love nature. I love to protect nature. Well, that's what an environmentalist does.
Yeah.
But I have a garden, so that speaks to what I'm starting, or what I have that could relate to that kind of field.
All right. So we know we have the financial controller, the environmentalist, and Jubilee. You have lots more time to decide, but I'm sure you have great opportunities ahead of you. Thank you for coming in and just giving us a short look at your stories. We appreciate it so much, and congratulations to all of you. Best of luck in the upcoming school year.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And from scholarship recipients, the young entrepreneurs, that's coming up in a few. Stay tuned.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
That benefit are we, the people, supposed to pay?
The funding you pay now for when you get old, you got funding for college, for your future.
If you miss some days from work, they should have compensated for that.
As an artist, I'm not really sure because I work for myself.
What is Social Security? Social Security is not a tax. Social Security is a very small investment in you, the worker. It's an investment that you can count on now or in the future. It is designed to replace part of your income from wages when you get sick, get injured on the job, have a baby on the way, become disabled, or even when you pass away. And even then, the widow and your kids, if under 16 years or under 21 years and in school, obtain survivor's pension. And after a lifetime of working, you can rest assured you will have a monthly retirement income. Social Security, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we are just getting our third and final conversation for this morning started. And we are talking with some young entrepreneurs this morning, and they're going to be sharing all about their new business, which is M&R Car Wash. It is an initiative which is started by two primary school students, and we've got the young co-owners of M&R's Car Wash with us. We have Reginald Hardiman as well as Myrick August. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Thanks for joining us. We're really interested to learn all about this. Reginald, can you tell us a little bit like how you got the idea to start this business?
Well, because when I used to wash car with my father, I saw that he got a lot of money for washing them. And I decided that we will start a car wash.
So you gone to Myrick and tell him, let's go start on car wash?
Yes, ma'am.
And Myrick, you said?
Okay.
Why? You never had anything else to do?
No.
Oh. So you have helped your dad to wash cars before?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you think that starting your own business would be easy?
No.
What's it been like so far?
It's kind of hard.
Why do you say hard?
Because when you make out to the glass, it make kind of hard for me to scrub it because it may always get blurry or so, and we couldn't do it. So we asked Merrick and if it help me clean it.
Oh, so you learned like how to do it better whilst, you know, after a while.
Yes, sir.
When did you start?
Like last 2 weeks.
And for you, Merrick, what's it been like for the past 2 weeks?
It was actually fun.
Really? What's the fun part?
Well, one time we wash the car, I got wash out, I start spray. Then yeah, like, I enjoy spray power wash.
Oh, you like play with the water? No? What are your favorite part of the cleaning?
The vacuum.
The vacuum.
Okay. So you wash in and outside, inside and outside of the cars? All right.
What's your favorite part?
Outside.
Outside. Oh, well, you're the perfect match. He like vacuum and you like the outside?
Yes, ma'am.
It's hard work though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And now that you have your business going and you had a story that was on the news, everybody has been calling to show support.
Yes,
What's
ma'am.
that been like?
It's been good because a lot of people call, but because of the rain, they couldn't come.
So people said they want to bring their car too, no?
Yes, ma'am.
And I see you get some donations too. What they give you?
A vacuum.
A vacuum. Because what you made use before?
We made use of vacuum to match the fire vacuum.
You made borrow one?
Yes, ma'am.
And now you have your own?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the car wash is where? Whose house?
His house.
My house.
Okay, that at your house? And okay.
On 75 Farbers Road.
Huh?
On 75 Farbers Road.
Okay, at 75 Farbers Road. So you started to do motorcycle and bicycle now too?
Yes, ma'am.
How come?
Because one of my neighbors asked if we could wash it bike. I asked me how much it would have cost, and I tell her $5.
And so they said yes, and now you just started a whole new part of the business, right?
Yes, sir.
So now that you have your own business and you're making your own money, what does this mean? That you'll continue even when school starts?
Yes, ma'am. When school starts, we will only do on weekends.
On weekends. All right. And how you make sure that your customer happy when they come and they get the car back?
We make it clean.
Yeah, what do they say when they get the cars back from you guys?
They say that how they come back next time.
All right. No, that's good.
All right. And who keep the money? You give it back to your parents? You get to use it? You to save it? What you doing with what you're earning?
Merrick gonna hold it until end of the week.
And then?
And then she distribute it to two away. And then they take out so for this supplies after.
Okay. And what you plan to do with the money that you earned from the car wash?
Buy school supplies with it.
You're buying school supplies. Okay. And you, Merrick?
I'm not sure what I would do with the money.
Okay. And you're going into standard 6?
Yes, ma'am.
And standard 5. What school?
St. Ignatius.
St. Ignatius. Your teacher bring your car yet? Or your principal?
No.
Ooh, you have to get them. You're giving them a free car wash? All right. And, why you decide to start a business instead of just play for the summer?
Because I know more they on the street because I say all the people there where they get shoot and kill. And I never more be one of they. So I start the car wash to get off of the street.
Wow.
And so, and you want to keep this business going?
Yes, sir.
And do you want to be a businessman?
Yes, sir.
What about you, married? Now you want to own your own business too when you get older?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's good to start early. So you're learning all of the tricks from now.
All right.
Well, guys, that's all we're about to talk since we're just about out of time. But, thanks for coming in and sharing all about your business.
Now, like a good salesman, you have to tell people that they have to come wash your car. Look right into the cameraman and you tell them, come wash their car.
Bring your car to MR Car Wash Service at 75 Farbes Road.
And you can make them shine?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can bring car, motorcycle and bike now?
And dog, can we be a dog too?
You be a dog?
Yes, ma'am.
So, there you go, Gavin. What's the cost to bathe the dog?
$10.
$10. All
Well, it depends on the size of the dog.
Oh, okay. So one big one costs more or less?
More.
Like the Rottweiler.
Oh, the Rottweiler. But you're not afraid the dog bite you?
No.
No, we not dog.
Oh, you put, okay, good. So there you go. M&R Car Wash, wash your car, the motorcycle, the bike, and your dog. Well, boys, congratulations on getting your business started, and thank you for coming and telling us about it. All right.
Good luck with the rest. And with that, we're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to have our wrap-up, so please stay tuned.
Is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
Why, Tony?
Why, kid, what you going on, man?
I'm actually going to see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, And I just noted the last batch must have been like 3 weeks back,
Man, do I usually have anything? What are you going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
We're back.
And if you're joining us right now, we're just getting our show wrapped up after a bunch of conversations this morning. We want to say thank you to all our guests. Our first guests were the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Karim Musa, as well as Ras Ruben. We were talking about the continuing discussion on the decriminalization of cannabis, and we've been hearing a lot of different perspectives. Yesterday we had the voices of the Council of Churches, who are of course opposed to the decriminalization. And this morning we heard the other side and the arguments for it. So that I think is great that we're having sort of balance to this discussion, and it's definitely one that a lot of people are interested. So we want to. So we hope that you enjoyed that first segment.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the conversation is going to be one that extends beyond today, and this is a process that I do hope that, as the minister says, is as inclusive as possible. Because while some people have been paying attention to what's happening in other parts of the world, seeing the pros and cons of legalization of marijuana or looking into cannabis as a viable industry, there are going to be people who have concerns. And I think that those concerns have to be addressed. There has to be adequate information allowed for people to be able to understand what protection mechanisms are in place, and also how it's going to be inclusive for Belizeans as well. So this is going to be a process, and we hope to continue bringing you more information about that as it moves forward. And it's not passed as yet.
It's still very much a work in progress, and that's first on so many different levels. And, you know, research has to be done on all fronts, from the medical, scientific, agricultural, as well as the social perspective on how this is going to potentially impact us. So it's definitely something that is going to need a whole lot of work. But the ball is already rolling. So as time goes on, we will continue to bring you coverage of that issue as it develops. And our second conversation for this morning, we had some of the recipients of the Social Security Board scholarship, and we got an update from three students who were sharing their stories. Very inspirational, I have to say, especially Abdias and Dennis.
Jubilee was a bit nervous this morning, but she also has a really great story. You know, I think it's a great opportunity for us to kind of just celebrate our young minds. They work so hard. Abdias, for example, you know, being a cane farmer at day and then doing school in the afternoon, it's a tremendous amount of dedication. Dennis the same, and Jubilee in taking her schoolwork so seriously and being able to get the scholarship. So we do wish them the best of luck, and we hope that it's an added motivation for the children at home who, you know, there's some days that you don't feel like you want to put in all that extra effort to your schoolwork, but the rewards do pay off. And to Myrick and Reginald, who started M&R Car Wash, two primary school students who are venturing into the world as entrepreneurs. They now offer cars, motorcycle, bicycle, and dog wash. So you can find them on Favre's Road, and you can encourage these young boys on their own business venture. And it's just so interesting when they talk about, you know, starting a business, one, to stay off the street and stay safe, and two, to be able to occupy their time and buy school supplies. Again, it's very encouraging to hear our young children talk like that.
Yeah, absolutely. When we know that they could, you know, spend the summer just playing or doing, or even, you know, getting into mischief, as some would say, you know, they're taking the opportunity to, you know, get in work, earn some money, and as well as offer a service, you know, in their own communities. So, you know, best of luck to them. And if you are interested, you know how to contact them. Go to 75 Farmers Road.
All right. But that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OIE Belize.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.